Hey everybody, this is Matthew Soltesiak and you're listening to Not the Same Old Lions podcast. Using my sportscasting background, I speak with a variety of guests and interview key players to gain more insight on what makes this team go. As the Detroit Lions enter a new gritty era, we'll look beyond just the kneecaps when it comes to the analysis. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to discuss how the excitement for the upcoming season for the Detroit Lions is looking more real than we have seen in a long time. We're going to look at game tickets, and we're going to discuss the jersey situation. I'm joined by Coach Jerry Angers, named Michigan High School Coach of the Year, as well as Coach of the Week by the Detroit Lions. He's also mentored numerous players at the college level and some all the way to the NFL. Good to have you here, Coach.
Great to be here, Matt.
So let's start by talking about the excitement that's building for this team. They've already had a great second half to their season. They had perhaps the most epic non-playoff determining game finale in Lions history with that win in Lambeau Field. I mean, Lions fans were legit excited in a way that I haven't seen in a long time. I don't know if you have either.
No, there's no doubt about that. I've been watching them for a long time, as all of us have. So it was fun, the excitement with the final win, and now we've talked about some excitement that's going on in the free agency market. So it's exploding, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that's the thing you just said. The free agency situation has only fueled this, right? Because the thing is, you never know what's going to happen when the season ends. And the Lions have made a number of moves, as a number of teams. The Bears have improved as well through their free agency. But with the Lions, we've seen them make a lot of improvements, yet they're not done, and the draft hasn't happened yet. I think the big thing was we just didn't want to see them take a step backwards. And just on social media with these moves, we're seeing all of this rise up. I mean, I think the big difference is we've had good teams in the past. It's not like we haven't had a good team, but the season ended well, and we see the potential moving forward. Because remember, that Cowboys game that we lost in the playoffs, we had Matthew Stafford, we had Calvin Johnson, but we knew the defense was going to take some steps back because we knew Ndamukong Suh wasn't likely coming back, as were some others. So we saw a drawback coming, but now it's the opposite.
Oh, totally. I mean, we have those guys that are staying. You know, we've lost a couple, but we've also added some pieces to the puzzle, and I think that's the biggest thing. And the excitement comes from these guys that are saying, we want to play in Detroit. And that's your excitement part. And so those are the things that you, again, on paper, how good do we look right now? Pretty good. Again, it's got to work itself out during camp and all those things. But right now, I'm going to ride that wave and be excited and smile every day when somebody talks about the Detroit Lions.
Well, and they keep talking about the Detroit Lions often. There's something new coming out every week or so. First, it was the Lions have the best odds to win the NFC North because they've got odds for everything, and they're the ones favored to win the division at this point. And that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about that earlier or previously, that it was back in, could have been with, I think Scott Mitchell was the quarterback or back in those days when they did talk about playoffs and did talk about they're going to go. But we've never sustained that and to come off of what we just came off season-wise and add the free agencies that we're adding, the excitement is tenfold in this country, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone is afraid of the Aaron Rodgers decision at this point. If he stays, if he goes, I don't think Lions fans care. I think we see the team that we have, and we know that we can compete with anybody in our division.
Well, there's only one guy that I know for the Lions that wants him to stay, and that's Joseph, because, man, does he pad his stats going against Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, because if Aaron Rodgers does leave Green Bay, his final pass was to Kirby Joseph.
Yeah, exactly. So that was considered a completion to the Honolulu Blue, of course.
And so if it wasn't already enough excitement adding that, hey, the Lions are favored to win the NFC North, they just recently released the odds of who's most likely to win Coach of the Year. And Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell has the best odds ahead of guys like Sean Payton and Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, and again, those are one of those things we talked about. And, how much does Dan Campbell care about that? Absolutely not. I'm sure it's in the back of his mind that if I win that, we must be playing pretty well. But, he's the guy that cares about the Detroit Lions and not Dan Campbell. And I think that's why the excitement is there. And I hope he wins it, because then I know we're going to be having a pretty good season.
Exactly. I agree with you. I don't think Coach Campbell cares about that. I think what it does, though, it tells us what others think about our coach.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, hey, you've got a quality coach there. And it's not just a massive potential. We've seen him actually do something on the field. And that isn't something you've always been able to say about coaches in Detroit.
Right. Oh, for sure. And I think that's what the big thing is, and they're building on it. And how many games did he win, or did his assistants win by making great play calls? And that's leadership, and that's from the top down, or what, bottom up, whichever we want to look at it. But Dan Campbell's is leading them in the right directions, and these guys want to coach with him, and these guys want to play for him, and these free agents want to come play for him. So it's loving this time of year right now.
And all that stuff keeps the fan base energized and excited. I mean, we both went to games last year at Ford Field. I went to the one against the Packers. They were 1-6 at the time. I was still excited to go because I still liked what I was seeing from Dan Campbell and the players, even though the wins hadn't happened on the field yet. And at that game, there were a good number of empty seats. I mean, it was still a very large crowd, but you could move around a little bit. You had, some seats next to you and some space. But even with that being the case, it got ecstatic and electric in there. And then they won that game. That got them on a roll. And then a handful of games later, 5 or 6 weeks later, you went down against Minnesota, and you had a similar but different experience.
Yeah, well, same thing, and I went down there for the, of course, it was a Minnesota game team. They were in first place. How are we going to play? Go down and see some of the guys that I know. And the big thing is I had season tickets or had experienced Lions games for 10 years back in Barry Sanders era and Lomas Brown, and then I can go on and on with those guys. And that was at the Silverdome, and that place was always rocking. But there was 80,000 people there.
Yes.
And to get into this game and to watch what they're doing in pregame, to watch what they're doing during the game, to get the fans excited, to watch the people walking in the streets, you could see it was just a different atmosphere, and one from, and I think it comes from them being in Detroit. I think it's Detroit's a great city. It's the development that they've done there, and I think people are seeing that. You're walking to the Lions game and there's Tiger Stadium, and I think so. That's the biggest thing. And I think the Lions are feeding the frenzy, and they're doing a great job at it.
And like I said, the game I went to against Green Bay, they hadn't gotten on a roll yet. They were still 1-6. They were still trying to put it all together, but it was against the Packers. It was electric, and that place was so loud. When you went there, they were actually selling standing room only tickets, I believe.
Yeah, I think those sold out, and I don't know. I mean, it was crazy because I think somebody hit me up and said, "Hey, they're selling standing room tickets." I said, "Well, I already bought tickets online," and I think they sold it out. And I don't know. I don't know what time it was, but it was packed, and you could see it. I mean, everybody in the place was electric, no matter what was going on. And of course, then we throw a pass to Sewell, and that place erupted. I thought it blew the roof off. But anyways, more to come. I know that.
Well, I think that might actually become more typical because I called Ford Field and I found out their season ticket situation is very different than a year ago. Right now, their season tickets are sold out on the lower bowl, on the sidelines, and the club level.
Wow, that's
you can
great.
get the end zones and you can get some on the upper bowl area. But a year ago, that was not even the case. So that tells me if their tickets are being sold this quickly, it's going to be a very, very exciting game.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, and again, you go back, the corporations are buying the tickets. People are, the fans are buying the tickets. Families are buying the tickets. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing is it's going to be sold out. The average family is probably going to be a little bit harder to get into the games, but they're still going to be available. And again, who cares because the atmosphere is going to be electric.
So that's the thing, right? The game atmosphere is going to be that much more intense, making it that much more difficult for opposing teams. We already had a great record at home. I think it's going to be even better this coming year.
Yeah.
So I know I plan on going to a game or two. You are as well. I know the Lions are playing a game on the road in Baltimore. The schedule's not out yet, but I've got some friends. We're already planning on going to the Baltimore game. And actually, the last time I went to see the Lions play in Baltimore was quite significant. And I didn't realize it at the time. We watched it. The Lions didn't play the best. They actually lost that game. But 7 months later, Barry Sanders retired.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it's like, obviously that wasn't a happy moment of his retirement. It's understandable. But looking back, it's like, wait a minute. I was at the last game Barry Sanders ever played.
Right. That's crazy. And now we're going to go back to that. And I think this year, though, it's not going to be going to have to worry about somebody retiring. You're just going to have to worry about celebrating after the Lions' victory.
Yes, I think that's going to be exactly it. And we don't know what type of team Baltimore is going to put together yet, but I'm excited to go out for that. It's going to be a great game and a great opportunity. And the Lions, again, the momentum just keeps going up.
Yep.
So backing up a month, though, I actually got to tell you about something. I got a really cool Valentine's gift from my wife. They have this thing called Cameo, and you can hire celebrities or athletes to kind of give a special message to somebody. It can be like a message of encouragement or a congratulations. Well, my wife always said she's not good at surprising me because I always know everything and figure everything out. Well, I was shocked this year.
Yeah.
I got a message on my phone, and it was Detroit Lions fullback Jason Kabinda.
All right.
And he had a video message for me. And he goes, "Hey, Matt, I got a message from your girl, Autumn, and she wanted me to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. She told me you're a huge Lions fan." He goes, she also told me you were on a podcast about the Lions, and it's called Not the Same Old Lions Podcast. Right. He goes, "I love that name."
Oh, that's great.
And then paraphrasing him, he says, "You're darn right. We're not the same old Lions, and you're going to see on the field next year." Yeah. Something like that was exciting. It was awesome.
Right.
And it just feeds the energy that much more.
Oh, definitely. And, you get something like that, and then you got it. And you might as well, I think it'd be good luck if you listen to that every game day. And then as long as they continue to win, keep listening to it. But I think let's use that as one of those good luck charms.
I like that because the thing, you get to keep the video forever. You can show it to your friends.
That's great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, all right, jerseys. Let's touch on that subject before we get out of here for the day. There was talk that the Lions might be getting new jerseys this year. Ultimately, they decided not to happen. Apparently, it's quite a process to change jerseys, and they go through quite the design and all that. They are coming up with some alternate helmets for, I think, a game or so this year. So we're going to keep the same throwbacks, which are our silver and blue throwbacks. Yep. So I like them, especially when you compare it to some of the other teams' throwbacks, which should almost be banned because some of those throwbacks are not good looking. The jerseys that are probably my favorite that I'd like to see become their throwbacks, maybe, would be those early 90s jerseys.
Sure.
The Barry Sanders jerseys.
Yes.
Those were my favorite jerseys. I love those. Maybe it's because it was my childhood. I grew up with it.
Right.
The ones we have aren't that different. They're a little different. But that's something I'd like to see them somehow incorporate in some way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with, with the alumni guys that are playing, bring something back to honor those guys is always good. Hey, today we got, it's Barry Sanders Day and we're going to honor him with one of his jerseys. So, and again, it's the guys, it'll ignite guys, whether you're an adult or you're a kid. Anytime you can get something new or something different or something surprised on you at a game situation, you're going to play a little harder. It's amazing, but I think the jersey thing would do that.
So speaking of jerseys, do you remember your first Detroit Lions jersey that you ever owned?
Well, I can go through numerous ones. Charlie Sanders, of course, was my best. Then number 20. Which number 20?
I'm wondering, is that Billy Sims?
Lem Barney.
Oh.
Billy Sims. And then I think there's a guy named Barry that wore that number 2. Herman Moore, of course. My favorite one, anytime we have Jersey Day when I'm at teaching and stuff like that, is I wear my Lomas Brown jersey.
Nice.
For a couple reasons. Lomas and I are friends. Lomas, I used to work for him and did fundraising with him. He gave me that jersey when he was still playing with the Lions. I usually take a picture of it when I have it on and show it to him. So I got the old throwbacks, and I did purchase a Herman Moore autograph jersey at a fundraiser one day, and my wife's exact words were, "Don't you have enough jerseys?" And I said, "You can never have enough jerseys."
That is awesome. Yep. My first jersey when I was a kid, I probably was a freshman year in high school. It was a Chris Spielman jersey.
Oh, heck yeah.
I loved Spielman.
Yep.
One of my favorite players. Today, I only own one right now, but it is a Barry Sanders jersey. It's classic. That was actually another gift that my wife got me for Christmas one year, and absolutely love that jersey as well. And so it'll be interesting to see where they go with the jerseys. I'm not overly concerned with that. I look forward to the new helmet, and just really excited for all the momentum and all the buzz around the team going forward right now.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All right, folks. Well, Coach, it's great having you on the show as always as we analyze the Lions.
Yeah, it's great being here, and love talking about the Honolulu Blue, as I say every week. But looking forward to the rest of March and looking for April and getting into that draft. And I'll be having a draft party at my house with packets for everybody to choose. Can't wait.
Awesome. Thanks, folks, so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to Not the Same Old Lions podcast to get alerts about new episodes. Also, follow the show on Twitter at Matt Soltesiak. And until next time, stay gritty, my friends.